Hello, and welcome to this webinar brought to you by IBM Services. With restrictions easing, firms are acclimatising to the disruption caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. With the focus now shifting to the future, the planning for resilience has begun. Joining me to share their thoughts and their plans are Andy and Giorgio from IBM Services. Andy, I'm going to start with you. Do you think that employees will be seen in a different light by HR leaders going forward in terms of their value as an asset to the business?
Organisations will, have rediscovered actually how, resilient, adaptable and flexible their workforces are. In fact, more adaptable than they ever imagined. If you think about it, the speed with which, employees have been able to switch to this 100% remote working almost overnight has, reminded leaders what an asset their people are. We talk about human resources. I think it's fair in this COVID-19 crisis to talk about superhuman resources. I think for many companies, this has been a reminder of just the importance of trusting their employees, not tracking their whereabouts or checking whether they are online.
Excellent point, Andy. Thank you. Giorgio, over to you. The relationship between customers and businesses has been reframed for good. So how are businesses going to communicate with customers and inspire loyalty in the future?
Leading companies have already been changing the way they relate to their customers, even before COVID-19. And now we see that process accelerating because of the current crisis. And this is about two critical trends. One, the expectation by customers that they interface with firms in the same way they do with their friends in their private life, which means mainly asynchronous ways of communication. So text, messaging, and whenever they want to do it 24/7. The second trend is about moving from reactive problem solving, I call it because I have a problem, to a continuous engagement and proactive help to our customers. As an example, imagine you are having dinner at the restaurant and you find out at the moment of paying your bill, you don't have funds on your credit card, as opposed to the bank informing you in advance that you need an overdraft and giving it to you on the spot because of the information they have. That is what we mean by a completely different, continuous and proactive engagement with your customers.
Andy, with employees working from home, the face of the office has changed for good. What's been interesting is that tech has been playing the role of a stabilizer versus a disruptor. So if firms want to roll out the tools that they've been using these last few months in order to gain a competitive edge going forward, what should they be doing?
This current crisis has really put the spotlight and focus on all of those virtual meeting and collaboration tools that, to a certain extent, we've been using for many years. I think the challenge now is to work out how you harness the tools that you've got and then assess what's missing. Because I think if we're honest, most organizations have felt that their collaboration tools and their online meeting tools are like a second best. What we really want to do is get people in a room because it's only by face-to-face contact that the decisions are made. Remote working doesn't work. But of course, we've discovered in this that it does. I think organizations are realizing that for some of the more complex tasks like design thinking, product development, innovation workshops, you might need some more industrial strength capability or tooling. And that's why organizations are investigating tools like Mural and Trello that allow a richer online collaboration, particularly when you want to ideate and innovate as a team.
So beyond the office, technology has been playing a pivotal role in maintaining customer satisfaction. Giorgio, tell us, how can AI and automation help employees create happier customers?
You're correct. Happier customers depend on our employees, those employees who talk to them every day. So AI and automation is all about putting them in the position to work at their best. And we can do it in three ways. First of all, eliminate simple queries with virtual agents. This is all about giving them more time to focus on the complex and more important questions that our customers come up with. The second role that AI and automation have is about provide them with a 360-degree view of customers. So giving them all the facts and information about their customers, their past, their products, so that they can react very quickly. And the third is provide them advice on how to react to the query.
So I said at the beginning that companies are using this planning stage to build resilience for the long term. Andy, if you were from another company and you were looking to rewrite the workplace rulebook, what would be the must-haves for the next decade?
Last year, we conducted a survey and we asked business leaders what are the critical skills that you need for the 21st century workforce. Now, this was before the COVID-19 crisis hit. The skills that business leaders focused on were all technical. They were all about coding, analytics, data science. Now, when we asked them the same question, the primary competence or skill that came up was adaptability, the ability to be flexible, the ability to adapt to a changing economic and business environment. The second hot skill is all around collaboration and co-creation. You've got to remember we're in an environment where many organizations don't quite know what the future holds. There is no playbook, there is no best practice guide. We've never been here before. In terms of culture, though, I think a couple of things will emerge. Firstly, I think we're going to see greater empathy and compassion in the workplace. We did a recent survey that in the US where 69% of employees surveyed said this was the most stressful time in their career, the most anxiety-inducing moment ever in their professional career. Well, in response to that, business leaders need to have empathy. We all need to be CEOs, chief empathy officers, so that we can get alongside and understand the circumstances of our employees and help them cope and adapt to what is a very uncertain time.
Giorgio, I'm going to come back to the tech. Blending AI with automation and data and analytics can be quite tricky to implement, especially if you're a financial services company with an omni-channel strategy. So what can businesses who are thinking about integrating the AI and automation, what can they do to be prepared?
I'd like to call out four areas. Two, if you like, are technology enablers, and two have to do with building trust with our customers. So first one is the quality of data. We talked about 360-degree view of customers, using data from different sources and reacting quite quickly. So it is fundamental that we can access, manage, and treat data across any system, and that means having a solid architecture, platform, and governance for data. The second question is about real-time analytics. That is quite different from a traditional analytics that will look at past information and make offline decisions. The last point is about security. Now, we're talking about customer data, employees' data. We're talking about data about our products, our company. From the explainability, we need to be able to explain to our customers, but also to our employees who are facing customers, why we are recommending certain actions or we're taking certain decisions. That's quite important, as well as making sure that there is no bias in the decision we make.
Okay, Andy, automation, AI, it's tech and it generally runs itself. But as Giorgio was just saying, you do need humans who know how to use it ethically and safely. So how do HR leaders fill that skills gap and avoid a gap in the future?
If this crisis has taught us one thing, it's the need to act with speed. You could almost say that speed is the new business competence. And that, in essence, is what agile practices are all about. The ability to work rapidly, to do daily stand-ups, obviously now virtually rather than face-to-face, and constantly to be iterating your solution. So I think agile is going to be a critical skill that all organizations will need to master. How does HR or how do organizations actually address those skills gap? Well, first of all, turn up the transparency. Make sure that everyone knows these are the hot skills or capabilities that we need you to develop. So whether it's a technical skill like artificial intelligence or automation or blockchain, blockchain, or whether it's more kind of competency or soft skill like collaboration and agile ways of working. Make sure that everyone knows that that's what the expectation is. Secondly, put in place engaging content that is accessible via your mobile phone on the go, so that there is bite-sized learning that you can constantly refresh as you go. And then finally, measure. Tell people how much learning that they have done and how much learning you expect them to do this year, and start to reward people on the basis or the extent to which they've reinvented their skill set and they've upgraded their skills to develop competencies that are in demand and relevant in the marketplace.
It's interesting, isn't it, that the perception of tech and AI and automation as simply being cost-saving tools has shifted during the pandemic. It seems that employees are actually really appreciating the opportunity that tech gives them to conduct their customer-centric jobs more fulfillingly. Giorgio, how do firms maximize on the opportunity that they have now and perpetuate that tech-talent relationship to their advantage?
It's about making sure employees understand that this is not about replacing them. This is about augmenting them, helping them be better employees and have a more fulfilling job. So how do we do that? I think it's 3 items, which also were touched by Andy. First of all, the enablement. So companies should invest in upskilling their whole organization about AI and the opportunity it brings, so that everybody will be able to contribute. So IBM, as an example, runs a AI Skills Academy for the whole company. And that is about helping employees buy into ideas, but also contribute to the application and growth of AI use in the company. The second point is change management and engagement. So this is not something we want to do to employees. This is something we want to do with employees and have them drive. There is also the point about the technical enablement, because while we can create a movement, if you like, we still need to have the talent and capabilities to actually execute. And that has been, for many companies, the biggest challenge.
To what extent is the radical rethinking of business validating the concept of IBM's cognitive enterprise?
Now, in one sense, the cognitive enterprise is the big rethink in the enterprise space. We're inviting all business leaders to look again at the way that their organizations are structured, the way that they use data, technology, the way that it's configured around processes and led and managed by people, and to rethink, how do we need to do business differently, particularly because technology and the power of exponential technologies like AI, automation, blockchain, Internet of Things is allowing us to come to the business challenge very, very differently. Not just the way that we serve our customers, but the way that we organize ourselves internally. So the cognitive enterprise is the big rethink in the enterprise space. And now is the chance and the urgency to move fast.
It is indeed. Andy and Giorgio, thank you very much for joining us. There's other related content and articles written by Andy and Giorgio on the ft.com hub where you're watching this. There's also an array of information on the transformational journey to becoming a cognitive enterprise. Thank you very much for watching.